So it looks like we've got a couple changes to the agenda once again, but this time, before we get to Robert Morasti's presentation, I'm going to call up MLTC Health Director. Health Director is going to say a few words here. Marcia Morasti, gentlemen, let's give him a big round of applause here and welcome her. It's because of all the work her and her team do that we're able to have events like this. You know, they put together the residential school conference and now this. Oh.
Katamskat Nawal. I greet each and every one of you for being here. And I want to thank the pipe carriers for the lifting of the pipe this morning and for the many prayers that have gone forward for this gathering. I want to thank the leadership. I want to thank Tribal Chief Ben, Vice Chief DeRocher, and Vice Chief McIntyre, and the MLTC Health team for putting on this conference and all their support. As I look around the room right now, I see a bunch of mighty warriors. I want to tell you that you are called for this time and this hour. And for some of you, it took a lot of courage for you to come. But you're here. Everyone in this room, in this conference, is meant to be here. Some of you might have been told to come, and some of you came because you knew in your spirit that it was your time to take up your rightful place as mighty warriors. I want to remind you as men that you have a voice and you have authority. And you can make great change in your family and in your community. It all starts with you. It starts with honesty. It starts with responsibility, which is the ability to respond. As long as you have breath in your lungs, you have the ability to make healthy change. I want to use an example of this. I want you to imagine with me that there's a pipeline proposal running through your community. And it's going to go right in the middle. And I'm going to go around the room. I'm going to ask a few people, what would you do and what would you say in one sentence about this pipeline that would go through your community? What would you say?
Get out of here.
You'd say get out of here? You wouldn't want it in the community? No way? Okay. Thank you. What's your name?
Ray.
Ray, where are you from, Ray?
Pachinak.
Patchnak, thank you. So Ray from Patchnak would say, get it out of here, the pipeline. What about you? What would you say?
I would say no to the pipeline.
Say no?
I would say no.
And what's your name?
Chester Herman,
Chester Herman, and you're from?
CRDN.
Clearwater River Dene Nation, thank you. So I'm gonna come over here and I'm gonna ask you gentlemen, what would you say to the pipeline?
No good at all.
No good at all. And what's your name and where are you from?
From Buffalo River. Raymond Bullitt.
Raymond Billette from Buffalo River would say, no way. What about you, young man? What would you say?
I would say,
What's your name? Where are you from?
I'm originally from Moose Town, but I have heritage up here in Moon Lake. And David and my family name from down south of Saida, but my family name up here is Baird.
Bear? Okay, thank you. So no way. So we had 5 men who stood up and said no way from different parts of Saskatchewan, from Moose Jaw, Loon Lake, Clearwater River, Patchnak, Buffalo River, Dene Nation. I want you to know, okay, you can say one thing.
You can drink water, but you cannot drink oil. Dalton. Canoe Narrows.
Canoe Narrows, Dalton. Thank you, Dalton. Thank you for coming up. So it doesn't matter where you're from and what you do for a living. It matters what you believe in. It matters what you will allow and what you won't allow in your home and in your community. Imagine if we each spoke to our families. Imagine if we stood against meth, if we stood against prescription drug abuse, if we stood against drugs, our kids smoking up in our homes. What if we spoke up against family violence, against alcohol, against suicide and gangs? Imagine if we all came together and we pushed for health and healing for our people. I call on our men to take their rightful place. Call on Creator. Call on God to help you in this journey. Protect and provide for your families. And don't be ashamed to ask for help. There are many people who are willing and able to guide you on this healing journey. Some of you may have heard that I almost didn't come here. There was a death in my family. My brother-in-law committed suicide on Saturday. He and my sister had recently separated, and this is really hard on everyone. Those of you who have experienced suicide in your family, you know exactly what I'm talking about. As a result, I've been stressed out. I've been angry. I've been frustrated. I'm worried about my sister. I'm worried about the kids. I've been praying hard for them for months. You know, last night I said a special prayer. I asked God, I said, speak to me in a dream and let me remember it. In the early morning hours, I had a dream. And in this dream, I seen this book. And I thought, okay, I got to look in this book. What is it saying? And as I looked in this book, there was 4 words. It said, elders are not victims. I said, elders are not victims? I said, what does that mean? And I woke myself up. I said, I got to remember this dream. I have to write it down. I wrote, elders are not victims. I believe Creator wanted me to share this at this conference. That's why I decided to come and speak. I want to remind you that elderhood is a special age in our traditional family life cycle. Elders mentored young children. They were knowledge keepers and they transferred their knowledge. Elders, gihtayak, are sober. They have a sound mind, a clear mind, strategic thinking. Elders stand up for what is right and what is just and what is true. Elders take this stage of life seriously. They're positive role models. So when do you become an elder? Some say it's when you become a grandparent. And some of our communities have young grandparents. Some say it's a title that's given to you by other elders or by your community, and that you earn it. Some say it's a combination of age, wisdom, experience, and sobriety. I want to bring you back to my dream. Elders are not victims. I believe there's many men in this room. You're walking into that elderhood life cycle role, and I encourage you to take that role very seriously. Elders are on a healing journey. They move people forward. Elders know and understand the intergenerational trauma and the negativity that needs to be addressed. Elders don't turn a blind eye to it. Elders play an important role in healing and healthy change. So I call on the elders to support your fellow men and community on our healing journey in each of our First Nations. Together, we will work towards breaking cycles of intergenerational trauma. We will heal and we will walk into our greatness as First Nations and Métis people of this land. So thank you, mighty warriors, for your time, for your listening ear, and thank you once again for being here. Ego se mercy cho, miigwech, thank you for listening.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for being with us today there, Marcia, and all the words you shared with us. You know, it is a difficult time for her as she shared with everybody. You know, it's we get to hear a lot of deep issues from our communities here, you know. So we still have some support workers. Please raise your hand there, support workers. Anybody that is wants to talk to somebody, take a moment and just pull them aside. At this time, we're going to continue on with our agenda. Our next presenter, Robert Morasti, Roots of Guilt and Shame. If you want to make, if he's here. Dodi? Oh, he's right there. Okay. So as he makes his way up on, Lindsay iron is set up in the back corner there. All it is a little poke to the finger. They're going to get tested. You're going to get your name put in a draw for a TV. So if you want to go back there and do that. So at this time, let's give him a warm welcome, Mr. Robert Morasti from Alacross. Masicho for being here. Good right there.
Ah, that's good. Yeah. Hello, everybody. Thanks. Bonjour. Comment ça va? Sure. Let me have a little smudge.
quick smudge here. The smudge will be set up just off to the left-hand side here. Anybody that wants a smudge. Hey, go say, it's all yours.
Thank you very much, my friend. It's a nice little smudge. Tansin Duti Mak. Hello, my relations, my friends, my fellow residential school survivors. It's been a very emotional time. First of all, let's wish our condolences to the Morasti family. Condolences, Morasti. Igwa, kutagagmina, and also to listening to Willie Billette this morning. That's brought back a lot of emotional issues. Willie, I'm sorry for your loss. You've been a good friend for most of my life, and I'll never ever give that up, no matter what. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Robert Morasti. I'm an Indigenous languages broadcaster, and I have been for many years. I've worked with the Mississippi Broadcasting. In fact, I was one of the founding members of Mississippi Broadcasting. I always give credit to other people. I don't say I am the founder, because I was not alone. I worked for a time with CBC. Lately, I just traveled the whole entire north and went to work in South End Reindeer Lake. That's where I first met Mr. Cook over there, the singer. Where is he? There he is. And I lived in La Ronge for quite some time, and Deschambault, and lately Pelican Narrows. Pelican Narrows and these other First Nations communities are awesome. People are awesome. I know you can say, what about the things that happen in these communities? Well, we all know what's wrong with those communities. It's the drugs and the alcohol. If we didn't have the drugs and alcohol, we wouldn't have any of those problems. But it's not. We know what's wrong. Now, I'm a residential school survivor. Way back, a long time ago, when I was just a little boy, I was maybe about 5 years old. I was born in 1951. I overheard my mom and her friends talking about putting us kids into the residential school. They said, we have to put our kids in the residential school. We have no choice. Otherwise, they're going to be taken away. So, within a little bit of a while, my mom took me by the hand and guided me up to that big brown building that was the residential school in Isla La Crosse, where I was from. I was not born in Isla La Crosse, but that's where I grew up for 4 years with my parents. I say 4 years I grew up with my parents, because the rest of my days, I grew up inside that residential school, within the walls of that residential school. It was a whole new, different world when those doors slammed shut behind me. I tried to look back to see my mom standing at the doorway. When the doors slammed, that was the last time I was to see her for a long time. The black robe was holding me by the hand right here. And I didn't want to let go of my mom. The black robe overpowered my mom and took me inside, what I call the dungeon, because we went downstairs, and downstairs there was hundreds of screaming kids running around. This was my new world. I left my mom and my dad when she took me inside that residential school. But that's not all I left. I will let you know what I left in a moment. First of all, I want to describe what I seen when I went into the dungeon, because we had to go down some stairs. I seen kids from all over the place now that I know where they're from. But at the moment, I didn't know who they were, where they were from. Just a whole bunch of kids that I was soon to meet. Well, I met one. Within 5 minutes, I was bleeding from my nose. Some kid punched me in the nose. Now, how big was I when I was 5 years old, eh? Not very big in 1956 when I went in there. And I came out of there in 1966. So now I was a youth. I was a bigger youth now. It was a long haul inside that place. When you're just a kid, when you're lost, when you don't understand why you're there, except for what I heard. My mom had heard parents talking about why they had to put me inside that residential school. Some of those kids, I later found out were my mom's friends, because I seen those other younger people, and they were the friends of my mom that were there that night talking about putting us in the residential school. It was not an easy place to live. It was a very difficult place to live. There was lots of loneliness. We were all lonely. I am hurt today. I am hurting today. My brothers that were in there, you understand, fellow residential school survivors. We were in there with some of our brothers, and we all hurt while we were in there. We were lonesome. We cried every day and every night before bed, before we closed our eyes and went to sleep. We seen and heard other people cry. Today, we're hurting. We're trying to get rid of it. That's why we're here. Our families are hurting. I still have 2 brothers, 3 brothers that are still alive that were in there. I'm 72 today. I still have a pretty good memory. But that memory is not always that great. Our families are hurting. Our friends are hurting. Our community is hurting. Our communities, you go to our communities, most of our communities are full of residential school survivors, and we're hurting. How do we get rid of that hurt? We run to alcohol. Today, it's also drugs, because we passed on our hurt and our loneliness to our kids. That's what we taught them to be. We taught them to be like that. Nobody else. So don't blame your child, your son, your daughter for being the way they are. It's what we did to them. I never asked my kid, why are you like that? Because I was the one that made him like that. I was the one that passed on my addiction, my attitude, the way I look at it. Sometimes we have a bad attitude. Our attitudes are not that good because of how we were in there. That's what we were taught when we were in there. Nobody can say anything to us. Right away, we jump to conclusions. We lie, or we'll tell a different story. Hey? We'll tell a different story. No, that wasn't me. That wasn't me. And the residential school was not a place where we went to learn good things. We went to learn bad things, because those people that were in there, I don't call them good people. They were bad people. Over the years, I have learned to say that about the people that were in there. My family, my mother would probably say, Robert, what are you talking about? Those are good people. Those are nuns and those are priests. They work for God. Yeah, they did. But there was not what God meant them to do. They were not supposed to teach us how to be addicted. They weren't taught to molest us, to physically abuse us, to sexually abuse us. Because that's what happened to all of us, many of us that were in there. We were sexually abused, not only by the priests and the nuns, but our fellow residential school survivors. Not every residential school survivor was who you think they were. There was also some predators there. My goodness gracious, we little guys were helpless little guys when we were in there. There was nobody to protect us. The people that we went to were not our protectors. They didn't keep us. They didn't love us. When we went there, they didn't say, welcome home, people, welcome. Come in and make yourself at home. Enjoy this place because this is going to be really good for you. They didn't give us a hug. Come here, Richard. They didn't say, come in, my boy, come in and make yourself at home here and be a part of this loving family of kids here. They didn't say that. They just threw us to the other dogs because that's the way I felt I was. When I came out of there, I was nothing but a little animal. I was running around. I talked about that before. I was lost. After 10 years in the residential school, I was not taught anything. I was not taught how to have good friends, to hug my friend when I met my friend, to shake his hand and say, hello, my friend, danse. And yet today when we see each other, we do that. We had to learn that later, much later in our lives, not at the time in a residential school. In a residential school, we fought like little cats and dogs. We fought for our food. Remember when they used to bring us lunch in a box? They threw it at us. They didn't give it to us like this. And the little guys were always the ones that never got it. It was the bigger guys that would get the lunch. And you had to watch them eat the lunch. And sometimes they would eat it looking at you and laughing at you because you didn't get any. They didn't have any we were not taught how to respect. That's the word I'm looking at. We were not taught how to respect each other in there. We had to live to survive. You had to live to survive. How many fights did we get into in there? It was a fight every day. A fight for your life. A fight for position. You had to fight to belong to somebody, to belong to a group. You had to be a fighter. And you wonder why when we come out of the residential school survivors, the way we were like. Remember when we went to the bar? We were already angry before we stepped into that bar. And we would fight with other people that even said something to you, that even looked at you funny. We would already be angrier is the word. It was not an easy life being in there. We were addicted to forget that residential school, we became alcoholics. We drank. And I'm lucky. I'm one of the lucky guys that didn't experience the drugs because we didn't have drugs. We didn't have crystal meth. Maybe we experienced a little bit of marijuana. That made us laugh, remember? And then we were lucky enough to say no more. But alcohol, that was a real difficult one. Boy, did we ever drink. We drank so we can get a girlfriend. Or we can walk with pride into the bar, you know, well, be brave, and be a good dancer, remember? And look handsome. and we did that, remember? We did that. We did everything you can imagine. When we drank, to forget the residential school most of the time. But then after we became so addicted, we drank so we can feel better the next morning. Remember the song, Johnny Cash's song. I had a beer for breakfast and I had another one for dessert because it was so good. That's what it was like on a Sunday morning coming down. A lot of us remember that. And I still remember that. I'll never forget. Today, I don't use alcohol, and I don't smoke, and I don't take drugs. But I'll never forget the days that I did that. It's unforgettable. It's all because of the residential school. That's what did. We were not taught how to love. There was no love in that place. No love. Did anybody ever come and give you a hug in there and say, Robert, or Richard, I love you, or Mr. Cook over there? While you were in there, you never got a hug. The sisters and the nuns never taught you how to love. In fact, they were angry at you most of the time because we weren't given any life skills. We were not given any life skills on how to act, on how to behave. When we were at a dinner table, we looked at each other like a little bunch of little dogs when we were right around the table, ready to pounce on each other. If you touch my food, watch it. Or if I touch your food, I have to watch it. It was like that. We were not taught any life skills at all. We didn't learn how to behave. We didn't learn how to treat girls. When you had a girlfriend, you wouldn't even let your girlfriend look at anybody else, otherwise you got jealous. Was that jealousy or what? And then you would scream and kick or hit your girlfriend. And don't forget, we were much stronger than our girlfriends. So we were jealous. We were the jealous kind. As soon as our girlfriends would look at somebody, we got jealous. Why do you do that? Boo! Hey? Go and look at that guy. What the hell for? Why are you looking at that guy? What's the matter with you anyway, you bitch? Why can't you? You know, they have eyes and they can see all over the place, but it was just us. We thought they were looking at somebody else, but they weren't. It's just the way we thought. We were not taught how to treat our women, our girlfriends, and our women. Nobody taught us how to do that. At home, you wanted to be the king. You wanted to be treated. You wanted your cup of coffee right here. You wanted your breakfast right here. But that's not what you got. That's not what you were taught in a residential school. You made that up when you got out of the residential school. In a residential school, you had to get up and go get it and pick it up and pick up your food. Nobody said at the residential school, here, Robert, here's your dessert, enjoy it. They didn't do that. You had to go pick it up. Or they throw an apple at you. If you didn't catch your apple, somebody else was already picking it up and you lost your apple. or you're orange. That's the way it was. You were like little dogs. You were treated like little dogs. My girlfriend was like a cat, and I was the dog when I drank. You know how dogs don't like cats. That was me. As soon as I got drunk too much. You drank too much, and you don't remember these things when you wake up in the morning. All you do is have a great big headache. And you look at your woman and you say, what have I done? Or what happened to you? You didn't even say, I'm sorry. You just say, well, what happened to you? You know? Either you forget or you pretend not to remember. Most of the time, we pretended not to remember. That's because we were men. Remember, your friends said to you, here, be a man and have a drink. Be a man, have a drink. And what did we do? We became men and we drank. And we drank until we couldn't stop. That's what our friends were like. The friends that we thought were our friends, they were not really our friends. Maybe you had a few $100s in your pocket. So it was an opportunity for them to come sit beside you and say, because you can afford a bottle. And then as soon as you had no money, they were gone. They disappeared because you were no good to them anymore. Alcohol, addiction. Man, did we ever mess up our lives. As we were taught at the residential school. I still have a brother that's living on the street in Prince Albert. I drive for miles and miles in the city looking for my brother, hoping to see him so that I could say hello. It's no use to give him any money because I know what he's going to do anyway. He's either going to go buy a few pills or some crystal meth or some alcohol or something like that. When he says, do you have any money, brother? I sure do. Let's go eat. Come on, I'll go buy you lunch. No, I'm not hungry. Well, he's not hungry because he's not looking for food. He's looking for something to get a fix on. That's what that residential school has done to my brothers. The second oldest brother is only 2 or 3 years younger than I am, and he was in the residential school. And to this very day, he still can't stop drinking. It's no use for me to tell him anything. And I say, brother, quit drinking now. Oh, shut up. Mind your own damn business. None of your damn business. I'll drink if I want to drink. I said, okay then. So-and-so, I said, I'll be here anyway if you need me. I'll be here if you need me. But he never needs me. He goes to his drinking friends and smoking friends. That's where he goes. Once in a while, he'll pop in and he'll say, are you going south? I always go south on a Friday. I don't stick around Isle Cross that much. I sure love my home community. I sure miss the people the way we were. The way we were when we were a loving community. All those generations of people are gone. When I see Noel back there, Noel, hello, stand up, Noel, so people can know who I'm talking about. Those are the generations of people that are so good, that taught us everything. Those are the people, the generations of people that I know. Those were the last people that loved us. But they're gone now. Noel, I'm very happy you're still here. My uncle lives in BC, and he was in a residential school. And he remembers the things that I remember. I asked him one day, he says, what do you remember most about the residential school? I remember that we didn't have love. We didn't have caring. Nobody cared for us. Nobody loved us. Nobody came to us and said, I love you. All they did was ridicule us. Shame. Man, oh man. That was something that I was so guilty of. Guilt was built, was ingrained into us. It was hidden to us. The nuns and the sisters and the brothers taught us shame. Today we cherish our traditional way of life. We love to eat our fish. We love to eat our moose meat. And we love our friends who are good hunters. They're really good hunters because we know when they go hunting, we're going to have fresh meat. And when they go fishing, we're going to have fish. We love and cherish them with all our hearts and all our friends. We'll never let go our friends. But us, residential school survivors, what are we? I wouldn't even classify myself as a hunter. I'm a tourist. That's what I recognize. I'm a tourist. I'm a really damn good tourist. I don't know how to go in the bush and hunt. Maybe I can do a little fishing, but that's about as far as I go. I'm not a fisherman. If I make a fish, when it's done, watch it because you might chew on a bone. These guys are my friends today that know how to make fish. They're boneless fish. And they hunt, they get moose, they get ducks. They know how to do all that. And us residential school survivors, how many residential school survivors here can make a fish without the bones? Right on. I'm really happy you can. Not too many, eh? That's because we were never taught. We lost our traditional way of life for good. We lost our way of life. Our way to hunt, the way to fish, the way to walk through the bush and enjoy the bush, to smell the leaves, the rotting leaves in the fall. We don't see that. We don't see the beauty of the bush when we walk into the bush. We're afraid to get lost. That's why we don't go in a bush. Put us in a city. We're different people. All of a sudden, you'll never forget where the National stood. They always make your way there. You'll never forget Susie Q's because you know where it is. You'll never forget the bars, where they stood. Never forget the Marlboro and where it stood. And again, can't get lost. You know how big Edmonton is. I always knew where the Cecil stood. I always knew where the Cromdale stood. Or the Everly. I never got lost. But in a bush, it's a different story. I get lost. I'm lost. That's losing our way of life. We have lost our way of life. We lost our language. I tried to find some kids today. We were doing a series of episodes for children, and we needed some little actors and actresses. We couldn't find anyone that could speak their language. When we found somebody that could, well, they didn't know how to read. They couldn't read the script to say what was written on the script, let alone say it in English or say it in Cree. The residential school destroyed our way of life, destroyed our people. To this very day, we are still suffering, we're hurting. And what the Middle Lake Tribal Council, through Marcy and through other employees like her, are doing today is awesome. It gives us an opportunity to come together and talk about it, share our experiences, and what happened to us while we were in there, in that residential school. Boy, oh boy, did we ever learn how to take pain, didn't we? Because every time you did something wrong, your ear would get pulled, right? This. No, don't do that. You're not past your saucer. That's what the nun would sound like. You know why you didn't pass your saucer? The saucer was your dessert. First you had your main course, which most of the time was not edible. I could never understand how the women that worked there, the people that worked for the mission, would even cook fish like that for us to eat. We know how tasty fish is, but it didn't taste like that back then, I'll tell you that. It tasted like something out of this world. It was not from here. It had been sitting under the ground probably for a week or so, but we had to eat it. And if we didn't eat it, we couldn't pass our saucer for some yummy ice cream or something like that, or an apple. Why, oh boy, that's the way it was. Just next door, not too far away in Beauval, they had a residential school. And once in a while, we would go play hockey against them. Boy, did these guys ever have it made. We thought we had it made, because we would get some really good food. We'd get hot dogs, and we'd even get dessert for our trip back home to Isle Cross. Boy, they ate good. We would all say, boy, they ate good over there. Why didn't we go over there? We were stuck in Isle Cross. Now, I just want to talk a little bit about the elementary school. I can't pass it by, because you probably experienced it too. And if you didn't, it was the torture chamber for the residential school. The residential school was here and had burnt down, so they built a new one over here where we walked to every day from the residence to the elementary school. And that's when we started mingling with the local people. Prior to that, we couldn't mingle with anybody. There was fights from the externs. They were called interns. My friends and I, we were interns, because it's another word for inmate. Today, that's what I call it. We were inmates, but we were interns, and the community people were externs. Boy, did they ever fight. There was fights every day. They would be throwing rocks from the other side of the fence to us over here. We would be throwing rocks back. Sometimes people really got hurt because they were big rocks, eh? Sometimes people would end up in a hospital. And that was when we were mingling now with the local people. When we went to this school. Prior to that, everything happened within the residence. We went to school in the residence. But when they got rid of this, when it burned down, when they built over here, we were now out of the walls. But now we had to learn how to mingle with other people. A lot of times that mingling didn't work because they were different. They had a different attitude. They were better. They were better than we were. That's how I look at it. Because they were taught by their parents, while we were not taught by our parents. We didn't get that teaching. We didn't get taught how to respect. We didn't get taught how to love. We didn't get taught how to care for our people. We were still little animals when we went to that school. Boy, oh boy, it was not an easy thing. That was the most difficult thing that could happen to you. And the teachers were different from the nuns and the brothers over here. These teachers over here, they were all from somewheres down south. Boy, I had so much pity for some of those kids. Sometimes it would happen to me too. But the worst thing that could happen is, you know how big a chalk is, eh? A chalk is about this big. If you got caught chewing gum, we didn't have gum in a residential school, so I didn't have gum. So it never happened to me, but the kids from the community had gum. And if they got caught chewing gum, they had to put that chalk on a floor, and they had to kneel on that chalk. One chalk underneath one knee, one chalk underneath this other knee. And they had to kneel on that chalk. And then they would have to stretch their arms out like this. And the teacher put a textbook over here and another textbook on this hand. And as soon as they got tired, their arms would start to go like this. And as soon as they got too low, boom, with a yardstick on their shoulder, they had to bring back their arms with the books on there. That was torture for those kids. Thank God I could never afford a piece of gum. So I never got caught chewing gum in class. And I didn't have to do that. But you know, to humiliate these poor kids, they had to roll up their gum like this. And they had to put it on the floor. And they had to roll it across the classroom with their nose like this while everybody watched. They had to get down on all fours, and they rolled that gum across the classroom. If they couldn't do it, they were put in a corner, and they had to sit in the corner with their nose against the wall like this until the teacher said it was enough. But those are some of the things that we had to go through, that some of my fellow schoolmates had to go through. And then the strap. That was something else. Our principal was over 6 feet tall. And when your teacher said to the principal's office, you knew what you were going to get. You knew that you were going to get that strap. And he had that strap underneath you like this. And you have your hand here until it's going like this, until you can't open your hand anymore because he's knocked it shut. And once he's knocked it shut, you have to pretend to cry. If you don't cry, he won't stop. You have to cry, and that's the only way he'll stop. So, some of us learned how to cry. A pretty phony cry, just so he would quit strapping us. Man, oh boy, that was not a place to be. But yet we were there because our parents were forced to put us in there. We were angry. And yet today, people said, get over it, get over it. Get over it now. How the hell do we get over something like that? For 10 years of torture, 10 years of suffering, 10 years of loneliness, 10 years without love. When we got out of there, we were so angry. Anger. Boy, oh boy, anger. It took lots of years. It took many of us lots of years to get over anger. Are we over anger? I don't know. I don't know if we're over anger. I don't know if we'll ever be over anger. So get over it, they say to us. If you could ever find anybody that knows how to get over it. You let me know. Because I want to get over it today, not tomorrow. Okay? Thank you so much for listening to me today, people. Fellow residential school survivors, I love you. Because, you know, we were not taught how to say love you. But I do. I love you. Thank you so much. Thank you. I got one of these. I do, yes. I got it when I got it. I quit lying. But I still chase girls. I have to tell you, the last time I went to speak was in Beauval, and I talked about being a runner. I was running around. I couldn't quit running around. I ran around so much. Man, oh man, I wore out many shoes. Because we were not taught how to be one-woman men. Right? Nobody told us, one woman, that's all you need. Not 3 or 4 or 5. Not as many as you want. One-woman man. Remember that. You got to be a one-woman man. You'll be much safer. This way the husbands won't be giving you a licking. Or I quit running around a long time ago now. I'm a one-woman man now. And I don't drink and I don't smoke. Boy, what's wrong with me? Hey. I had to leave you with a little bit of a laugh because we're hurting and we need to laugh. And Burn Stick is not here today because I was going to ask him what the hell he did with my potato. This morning I woke up and I was looking around, but I was just being funny, eh? And I was looking around and my honey said to me, Robert, what are you looking for? I said, my potato. What do you mean a potato? I have no potato. I know I said I didn't have a potato, but it's something I have to say when I go speak at the conference today.
All righty, thank you.
Willis.
Thank you, Masi Cho, Robert Morasti. Big round of applause. Thank you for sharing your journey and really going in depth to what happened in these schools. You know, it's very important to talk about. It is 2:00 now. We're going to go on to same. Okay. Break. You want a quick break? 5 minutes. I'll give you guys 5 minutes actually, because we've got this handsome gentleman in the back here, drove all the way from Saskatoon. He's from Canoe Lake. He used to be 1,000 in a room player, but now he's hung him up. He's going to share his journey with us. He's played pro hockey, university level hockey. He's been clean sober a long time. It's my good friend, Craig Mccollum, who has graced us with his presence here today. Boy, oh boy. His hair is even gelled. Just handsome, that guy. He's married, though. Anybody that wants to go in the back there, you want to get tested, you just get a poke of the finger, and you're going to get your name put in a draw. It is for HIV. That wants to go in the back there, it's just a little needle to the finger. And get your name in a draw for a TV, smart TV, boy. Go check it out. And so this is just going to be a quick break. So gentlemen, come on back in here, have a quick smoke, quick chew. Whichever you prefer, bathroom break. And then this afternoon, we're going to have Cadmus Delorme. We're also going to do a feedback session again. That was pretty good yesterday. You know how many people enjoyed other men sharing their experiences over the last 2 days? Believe it's very important to get feedback on all these events. Maybe we'll have 2 or 3 a year, eh? You never know. Just putting it out there to the directors and the workers. If there's anybody that just came in, didn't register at the front there, please go grab yourself a ticket. Anybody that doesn't have a draw ticket. We will be doing more draws here after our presentations, feedback sessions. If anybody is interested in getting tested, once again, go see Lindsay Iron in the back corner. all the way from Kenneau Lake too. Who's all from Kenneau Lake? He just used to be. He said, I transferred bands. They didn't get cows and plows. I had to transfer, he said. Not many settlements. Tonight here, we've got a movie playing tonight, which is going to be here, I believe. Is the movie here? Oh, at the movie theater. So we've got a free movie at the theater at 7 o'clock. Popcorn and pop. That is going to be this evening, grown-ups. You know, take your bro, your cousin, your uncle, your mushum. Take them with you and go for a movie. Some popcorn will be available. Some pop. I always get to go to the movie theater for popcorn. One of the things. It's not many things to do in Moose Jaw. It's one thing I enjoy. Theater popcorn. I seen there was one guy here who said he's from Moose Jaw. He said, yeah. I live in Moose Jaw. It's a nice place. You know, it's very different. You don't get to see many brown people there. That's one of the things I've noticed about myself in there. And they did recently have a powwow there over the last weekend. And but when you grow up as a little Dene boy way up north and then you move to the city, it gets different, especially Moose Jaw. I went from Fort McMurray then to Moose Jaw where it's predominantly white. You can't just go next door and borrow ketchup or China Lily, you know, you got to go to the store. If you don't have $5 at 7-Eleven, well, you're going to eat your rice without China Lily. You know, so it's a little different that way. You know, in our home res, you can go see your aunt, hey, you got China Lily? Just like when the world went crazy, you know, for China Lily. Everybody was going to different gas stations, seeing it. You got any China Lily? One bad batch had to ruin the whole thing. I don't know what it is, but we're always cooking the chicken nuggets and rice up north. Hey? I was raised on it. I don't eat it so much now. I eat lots of rice though. Chicken. Fries from the northern. The expensive northern. You know, craft dinner. Craft dinner, yeah. Hot dogs. It's a little gourmet. You know, when you live in the north, it's a little different. You go to the grocery stores, it costs a little more, you know. Myself, I was raised by a single mother, welfare. And I think about this sometimes, you know, they get a few $100s and you got to make that stretch 30 days. You know, shout out to all the mothers, single dads too. Didn't have a father around. But it's all good. I'm going to call back in, everybody. Please make your way. If you hear the sound of my voice, follow it. Don't go slow. Speed up. Our speaker is ready. Alrighty, gentlemen. Just ask everybody to take a seat. We'll get this show on the road. Boy, where's the speaker here? Hey, how are you? Good, good. What do you got? COVID? You want me to read it? Where are you going to be? Okay. Samara, okay. That's it? Okay. So we've got another draw, but you got to fill out a survey. It is a COVID vaccine hesitancy survey. So the nurses in the back there, fill out this survey, and then you're going to get your name put in the draw for $50. Okay, we've got a sweat at 5 o'clock in Loon Lake. Anybody that wants to attend a sweat in Loon Lake? Do we have anybody coordinating, or just make your way out there? Okay, yeah, so you'll have to maybe carpool if you want to go attend a sweat in Loon Lake. Anybody? And then if you want to fill out a survey, please go see the nurses in the back. So with that, we're going to get on going with the agenda here this afternoon. Gentlemen, please make your way to your seats. We've got our next speaker here that is with us. He drove all the way from Saskatoon. He is a teacher, former pro hockey player. He is a Fred Saskakamoose champion, national champion, 1,000 in a room player, I kid you not, and he is an awesome golfer. He is a club championship at Legends, eh? Yeah, Legends Club Championship. So, everybody's back in. Let's go. So with that, gentlemen, let's give him a big warm welcome. Craig McCollum from Kenneau Lake. I'll get him to introduce himself here and let's him.
Do I take this? Or can I talk?
You want this or that?
No. All right. Hello, everyone. Like Willis said, my name is Craig McCollum. I'm from Kenneau Lake Cree Nation. And I listened a little bit to Richard before, and my story kind of builds off of his story. And it really starts when I was young, when I was 11 years old. When I was 11, I was living on reserve, and I remember thinking to myself, well, maybe when I'm 13, I'll be able to drink just like everybody else. Maybe when I'm 14, I'll be able to smoke weed just like everybody else. And I remember being really excited at the idea of doing that because it was my cousins, it was my aunties, my uncles, my mom and dad. Everyone around me drank or did drugs or did both. And so I thought it was just something you did when you got to a certain age. And inevitably, when I turned 13, I drank and did drugs for the first time. And that's kind of where it started. It got really bad for me when I was 16, turning 17. I was dealing with stuff, and Richard touched on it. When we're growing up and you have parents or grandparents or family that have dealt or gone to residential school, they didn't learn how to deal with trauma. They didn't learn how to deal with pain in a healthy way, and they passed that on to us. I'm that generation after. I didn't go to residential school, but everything that my mom learned, everything that my parents learned in residential school transferred down to me because they were my examples. They showed me how they deal with pain. They showed me how to deal with trauma. They showed me how to be in relationships, all of these different things. And so when I was dealing with my own trauma, with my own pain, I dealt with it in a negative way. I turned to alcohol. And like I said, things got really bad for me when I was 16. I didn't know how to deal with what I was dealing with. And so I just drank I would find every situation, every possible chance I could to drink. And at the time, I was a young kid that kind of on the outside looking in had everything going for him. I was drafted to the WHL. I was playing midget AAA hockey in North Battleford. I was a very privileged kid. I had a lot of support from my family and my community, and I had a bright future ahead of me. I had a lot of good things going for me, but still, I was dealing with these things behind closed doors and finding every chance I could to drink and make bad choices. When I was 17, this is kind of when I came to my crossroads. I was out with some friends and we were drinking at this party, and then for some reason there was 10 of us, and we got in a circle and we lit up 7 joints and we passed them around until they were done. And when we were done, we went back to partying and we were drinking. And then one of my friends wanted to go for a walk to this house to pick something up. And so we went for a walk to this house. He goes inside, I sit down. He's inside for maybe 2 minutes. He comes out, we go to leave, and I can't move. My body had shut down completely. But even though I couldn't move and my body couldn't move, my mind was wide awake. And I remember everything from that night. I remember how clear the sky was. You could see every star in the sky, how warm it was. There wasn't a breath of wind at all. I remember hearing the party going off in the distance, and you could hear people laughing and music playing and vehicles zooming by, and I remember trying to move, trying to get up, and thinking like, well, soon this has got to subside at some point, and I'm gonna be able to move and get out of here, get back to the party. But that didn't happen, and some time passed, and all of a sudden I could hear people screaming and people yelling, and there was a fight that broke out, and you could hear the punches being thrown and landing, and people screaming and swearing, and this kind of scared me and triggered me because of some things that I had gone through as a younger child, some of the things that I seen, and again, it's stuff that Richard's talked about, and a story and a childhood that isn't uncommon for Indigenous people. And I love my parents to death, but they had their own issues, their own traumas that they were dealing with when I was a child, and they showed me a lot of things that I think children shouldn't see. And when I heard that fight going on, it triggered me, and it scared me. And all of a sudden, these thoughts, these really scary thoughts started to enter my mind. Like, what if I was at that party and whoever was there wanted to hurt me? What if they wanted to fight me? And my body was like this. I wouldn't be able to protect myself. What if I was behind the wheel of a vehicle when my body shut down and I killed somebody? What if I killed somebody? What if I killed myself? What if I was at some place or some party where someone wanted to take advantage of me? I wouldn't be able to protect myself from that when this happened. And all of these thoughts started to really scare me. And then I realized that, I'm not out of this night safe. I'm still in trouble here. And then I started to think about, what if I never get control of my body again? What if I can't move ever again? And I started to get really scared, and so I tried to move and tried to lift myself up to try and get up, and I couldn't. And I started crying, and this is when I prayed for really the first time. I prayed to Creator, and I said, Creator, just protect me, help me get through this night safe, and I'll never put myself in a situation like this again. And shortly after that, I passed out. I woke up inside that house, and there were people eating breakfast at the table like I wasn't even there. I got up. I walked out the front door. I didn't say a word, and I was walking home, and I was thinking about the night before. How my friends just left me in that situation, how they didn't help me. I thought about the fight and some of the what if scenarios that I was thinking about, and I was thinking about how lucky I was that I didn't get hurt, that I wasn't at that place, that I wasn't behind the wheel of a vehicle, and I was really lucky. And then I remembered the promise that I made, and it's been over 16 years now since I've touched drugs or alcohol. Thank you. Thank you. And there's a lot of things that I've learned about my upbringing, my life, our community, Indigenous people, colonization, and the residual effects that were left behind because of residential schools. And I was thinking about what I was going to say here today. What's important? What message do I need to send? And I just thought about my life when I was in that situation, and some of the things that I've come to realize, and I thought I'd just share them with you, because like that exercise that lady had you do the other day, do as I say, not as I do. And it's easier just to explain and live in a way where people can follow what you're modeling and what you're doing, not really what you're saying. And so I'm just going to explain kind of some of my thought processes and some of the realizations that I've had over my life. Number one is that all of you sitting here today, whether you know it or not, you're a role model. And some people think a role model is only somebody that you look up to, somebody that's up here, somebody that lives a good life, somebody that does the right things, says the right things all the time. But that's not the case. When I was 11 years old, my role models were my mom, my dad, my cousins, my aunties and uncles, and they were showing me what's acceptable in life. They were showing me the behaviors, the things that you're supposed to say, the way that you treat others, the way you are in a relationship, all of these things. They showed me those things. That's where I learned them from. Those were my role models. And like I said, I love them to death. I love my family, my community. But for whatever reason, I was only seeing the negative decisions that they were making and the negative things that they were doing. And that's what I copied. And so whether you know it or not, you are a role model to the young people in your life. And the only question then is what kind of role model are you? What kind of actions are you modeling? How do you treat elders? How do you treat women? How do you treat children? The young boys in our life, young kids in our lives, they watch you and they see you. And they see that, and that's what they're going to do. And so when you leave here today, my hope is that you reflect on that idea, on that concept that you're a role model, and you make a decision about what kind of role model you want to be moving forward. That's the other thing, is that I was 17 when I started my journey, my healing journey. I met someone that started their journey 4 months ago. My mom started her journey 5 years ago. And so you're never too old, and it's never, there's no time limit on it. We're all on our own journey, on our own path. And whenever you start that journey, it's okay. And I've had to come to grips with like who I was back then and who I'm trying to be now and who I'm trying to be every day. And it's hard to accept some of the things that I've done, some of the things that I've said to some of the people in my life when I was living that way, because I wasn't a good kid. I was really cocky. I was really arrogant. I remember even that night that I quit drinking, I was bullying a kid. There were 5 of us around him, and we were making fun of him and challenging him. And his life after that, it got really hard. There were a lot of things he was dealing with in his life, and I felt so bad because I had just made that worse. You know, I was trying to, I don't know why I did it, but when I look back on some of the things that I've done, I've had to find a way to reconcile that with myself. I've apologized to him and had good conversations with him, and I've kept up with his life, and he's got a family and a partner that loves him, and he's doing well, and I'm really happy for that. But I've had to, when we're under the influence, when we do things, or when we're under the influence, we do things that we aren't exactly proud of. And one of the things that I hope that you understand is that who you were yesterday is not who you are today or who you can be tomorrow. I went to a school and talked to and shared my story, and we had questions after, and one of the kids raised their hand and they said, "Craig, do you ever regret anything you did?" And I thought about it for a second, and I said, no, I really don't. Because everything that I did, every decision I made, it led to me being here and who I am today. And I might not be proud of the things that I did back then, but I'm proud of the man that I am today and the person I'm trying to be. And so without those mistakes, without those lessons, I might not have become who I am today. And like I said, I'm proud of who I am today. And so in your journey, whenever it starts, the past and who you used to be is not who you have to be and who you can be moving forward. The other thing I've come to learn is that as men, it's time for us to return to our place in the battle. And what I've learned is that that's much harder for us because we've got pride and egos, and we were raised in a way where we always had to be strong. We always had to be macho. We always had to be this certain way. And then we were raised to have these certain views about women and certain people in our lives. And I'm looking even at this conference today, you know, our women have found a way to heal and to start working towards reclaiming and reconnecting with who we are as Indigenous people. Our women are making a lot of strides to make our communities better places, to make our people stronger people. And our men are missing from that, from those movements, from those programs, from those initiatives where as men, we need to be helping our women and supporting our women as they develop these different programs, these different initiatives to try and make our communities stronger. You know, and that's hard to come to grips with because like we've just been failing them. We've been failing our communities. But I'm really hopeful because there's so many of you here today, and for me, that makes me really, really happy because you had a decision, and a decision you'll have every day moving forward. You know, do you want to be better than yesterday? What kind of life do you want to live? What kind of person do you want to be? When people look at you, when people see you, what do you want them to think? Just showing up here today, you're taking steps to moving in the right direction. And so it gives me a lot of hope. And I'm really, really fortunate and happy to be here with all of you. And I really hope that no one feels like I'm trying to tell you what to do or how to live. My hope is just to share my experiences and some of my thoughts with you in a way that maybe it'll help you on your journey. When I talked about getting sober and living a healthy life, people always ask me, how did you do it? What do you do? And I'll leave you with I guess a couple of things that were really important early on in my journey, but also still really important now. And I was happy that you made the announcement that you did earlier before I came on. But the first thing that I had to figure out is why. Why do I want to do it? Why did I want to live sober? Why do I want to be clean? And my why is a lot different than when I was 17 to now. But it's what Richard talked about. It's about breaking that cycle. I grew up in a certain way. I grew up with certain things in my life that that we shouldn't have as kids. And so for me, part of being sober now, part of being clean and living the way that I live now is so that my kids don't have to grow up that way. They don't have to grow up with that trauma that Richard was talking about. You know, my dad is still dealing with some of that, and it's funny because it's still awkward. He's an older man, and I've been doing it for a long time now, but he never heard I love you. He never got hugs when he was a kid, and he never did that to my older brothers and sisters. And then with me, when I found that out, I was like, well, I want to get hugged. I want to hear I love you. And so I always do it to him. I force it on him. Every time we hang up, I love you, and it's kind of like a pause, like he hesitates because he's not used to hearing that or saying that, and he says it, love you. It's the same thing with the hugs. Our hugs are still a little awkward, but my dad hugs me, and so. But I want my kids to grow up knowing how to live healthy, how to live clean. I want them to grow up knowing that drinking and doing drugs is a choice, and that you don't have to do it. That you don't have to do it to be happy. You don't have to do it to deal with trauma. There's other ways, and the other ways that I'm talking about are returning to our traditional ways, our ceremonies, our lodges. You know, there's a sweat lodge this evening, and I hope that some of you take advantage of it, because that's what gives me a lot of strength now, is going to ceremony and being around elders and asking questions and learning more about who we are as Indigenous people, because like I said, there's that cycle of trauma and that identity crisis that we've gone through, and it has to stop somewhere. Why not at you? Why not at me? And so I've made a conscious decision in my life to say, this trauma isn't going to go past me. If my kids, whatever life they go on to live, they're not going to be dealing with as much trauma from residential schools and colonization that I dealt with. And you have the decision too. That trauma can end at you if you want it to. Richard talked about the loss of culture and identity and language, and that's all stuff that I've suffered because of residential schools. And so moving forward, what are you going to do? I've had to ask myself, what are you going to do to end that? Because yeah, we're mad, and we have a right to be mad, but what are we going to do to change that? What are we going to do to fix it? Because no one can do it for us. No one can come and say, here, Craig, have your language back. Here, have your culture back. Have your spirituality back. I'll give it to you. They can't do that. We have to go out and access it. We have to go out and get it. In the last 3 years, I've signed up for 3 Cree language culture classes. And it's funny that the trauma is so ingrained in my DNA that I still am not confident enough to use my language in front of other people. I'm still shy. I'm still scared to speak my language. And that's all trauma. And so I'm still working through that. But my hope is that I'm confident enough to use my language with my kids so that they're comfortable when they get around people that speak their language. I didn't know what to do in ceremony. I didn't know what I had to take to the sweat or what I should wear or how I should pray or who am I praying to, where to go, all of these different things. But what I've realized is that you can't learn unless you just go. You have to be there. It's something you have to be a part of and experience. And the more you go, the more comfortable you'll get, the more understanding and knowledge you'll get. And hopefully, when my kids are growing up, when they grow up in that life, they grow up going to ceremonies, they'll know what to take, they'll know what to wear, they'll know who to pray to, how to pray, all of that stuff. Same thing with culture. I'm like Richard, my reasons are a little different. My dad was a hunter, he was a fisher, but because of hockey, in September, I was never around. By the middle of August, by the end of August, I was at camp, whether it be AAA or the WHL or going to university. And so hockey took me away from that experience. And now I'm trying to put myself in positions, and I asked my dad to take me hunting and to show me different things and to take me fishing. And my hope, again, is that my kids, when they're old enough, that I can take them, that I can pass on that knowledge to them so that they know what to do when they're in the bush, so that they don't get lost when they're in the bush. They know how to act, they know how to do everything our people used to do. And so all of those things, all of the trauma that we felt in our lives, all of the pain and anger that we're dealing with, you're allowed to feel that. You are allowed to feel that, and it's okay. But at the same time, Canada and the church can't come and give us all of that back. At some point, we have to make a decision to take it back. Go find your language keepers. Go find the people that know their language and learn from them. There's online classes. There's virtual classes. There's people. There's knowledge keepers in all of our communities. There's spiritual leaders in all of our communities. There's opportunities. Go and find them. It'll make your healing journey, it'll make your life and your identity that much stronger. And remember that you're not doing this for yourself. It's not just you. You're going to have kids one day. You're going to have grandkids one day. What do you want to be able to teach them? What example do you want to set for them? Our communities need us. Our communities need you to start deciding to be the man that you're supposed to be. And I hope that this conference and all of these speakers that are here, I hope that they inspire something in you and help you find a way towards moving towards that. So like I said, our kids, our women, our communities, we all need you to start doing that. And with that, I guess I just want to thank everyone for having me here today to share my story with you. And yeah, I'm proud of all of you for being here, and thank you again for having me here. Okay.
Craig McCollum, gentlemen, here. Let's give him another round of applause. Musty Cho, bro. Here we go. Did you get one of those? Did you get one of those? No. Okay. Good then. There's a check in there. Let's see. All righty, gentlemen. Musty Cho once again. Craig McCollum. It's I always bug him. We've been good friends here. I always say, who sobers up at 17? But it's okay to do that. He's been sober a long time. He's a good friend of mine. I've had to talk to him during my sobriety journey too. So let's give him another round of applause. A young guy drafted in WHL. He is now a teacher, so he's still doing a lot of good stuff. And with that, we're going to be waiting on Cadmus Delorme, Chief Cadmus Delorme. So I'm going to go walk around and we're going to do some feedback here. We're going to do a couple of these actually. So take a few minutes and then we'll do some draw prizes. So you have to be here. But at this time, if anybody wants to say a couple words here, do some feedback. Anybody? What do you think here?
Yeah, good afternoon again. Thank you for being here. I just want to say the speaker that you had just now, Craig McCollum, I'm related to him, but he doesn't want to admit it. But anyway, I just want to say, like, young guys like that are models. Those are elders, because we have to look up to those young guys for us to gain that knowledge and that what you're doing, living that right life. And that's what we want to do, is live that right life. I've been living that right life for a few years. I've gone to ceremony. I searched years and years for that right teacher. When I got out of the Air Force back in 1981, I was searching. I went to Northern Alberta. I went to Manitoba. I went to different places here in Saskatchewan. And then when I was living in Saskatoon, I went to this workshop at the Friendship Center. A guy by the name of Bobby Woods was doing a workshop there. His name was Tatanka Hoshte, which means lame buffalo in Sioux, Lakota. So I hooked up with him and I started praying with him, Sweat Lodge. And then he introduced me to this Sundance. Back in 1983 was when I first experienced that Sundance ceremony. And from there, I haven't looked back. So I'm not going to tell you how old I am. I'm over the halfway point, I guess you can call it. And then, like Mr. Lubbock or Mr. Spud here said, we met back in '89 at a Sweat Lodge ceremony at the Farm Annex at PA Penitentiary. So I just wanted to share that with you because we have lots of different resources. We have lots of different people here. That person that was singing this afternoon is a resource person because he passes on that message of how his journey is going. He's on a different path than myself, but we're still on that sober journey. And don't forget, it's not a destination, it's a process, one day at a time. Thank you.
Alrighty, Musty Cho, besides in it one day at a time. Anybody else here? Right here, I think somebody wants to say something right here, this guy. So, how's your day going? What do you think of the men's conference?
I'm doing good. I'm from Montreal Lake, Saskatchewan. I like what was said here earlier on the grief from the young man from Saddle Lake who moved to Meadow Lake. Going through the same thing with him, I just lost my uncle, but I know my place would be here. This is the healing place for me. I've been to a few. This is my first men's wellness. And man, I love it. I love all the sober people here. You know, I was brought up in an alcoholic family. Went to residential school for seven years. The things that I learned there were not good. Were not good. I went through a lot of sexual abuse in there, and I had to deal with that. Then that young man that talked here yesterday just reminded me of all the hurts that I went through with my brother getting murdered. And something in the past, my grandma, who had said, "Pagitidita muin po ay kapatita at nigano." You have to use forgiveness in the future. And I didn't know that it was actually going to happen with my brother. My brother got murdered. And the only way that I knew how, not to carry the anger around and go hurt somebody, I had to go to the family, to the perpetrator's family, and go say, "I forgive you guys. If your son was here, I would forgive him too. There's no other way around this." And that's what I did. I asked them to come and sit with me at the funeral, and they did come. They sat beside me. My immediate family thought I was crazy for doing that, but I actually healed a lot faster from my hurt, my loss, the death of my little brother, with the mother and father sitting on each side of me. I had to go to their house and tell them, "I forgive your son." 3 years later, my daughter gets shot. 12 people seen this. Nobody's talking. Everybody goes quiet. To this day, nobody's talking. I'm waiting for somebody to come out and admit that they did shoot my daughter in the back, and she's 26 years old. So I could say, "I forgive you," and give them a hug. Because it's not up to me that's going to judge this person. It's my creator, our creator. And that's how I could live a sober life today, by forgiving. And I feel so good here, seeing all the sober men, the smiles. And I know there's a lot of hurt in here, a lot of hurt. But I'm glad you're all here, giving each other support, giving me support just by being here. And I'm super glad that you're all here. Tinigi.
Hi, Masicho, Tiniki. That is it. Right here, we're going to go over to this young gentleman here. He's from Onion Lake Cree Nation. Who's going to get their first haircut?
Probably me. Yeah, I'm from Onion Lake. It's a pretty cool gathering. I think it's like the first one we've ever had. First time I've ever seen a gathering like this. It's really awesome. Another thing, for those of us who don't know our language yet, there's 2 apps on the App Store for Cree. I know that for sure. I don't know about any other languages. Just a little information for you guys. Yeah, this is a really good event, and I hope to see it grow and continue going on in the future. Thank you.
Hi, yes, good stuff. Right here, this guy looks like he's just nice and shiny sweater. I think he wants to say, what do you think of the men's conference here, wellness here going on?
Oh, it's been quite the experience for me, picking up a lot of knowledge, and I myself have been working on myself to share, and I've been abused just before I went to kindergarten, and I've been having a lot of hard times expressing and showing how I feel. I've been abandoned and sexually abused, and then now I have been having hard times sharing, sharing my, showing my expressions, and been through so many relationships, because some of them, my past relations would tell me that, how come you don't share or show me how you feel? And because I have trust issues now, and I'm doing my best to be a better better me, you know, and to share it because it helps me. It helps me. It helps me heal. And yeah, I have trust issues because I've been abused myself. And listening to some of the people, the elders, speakers talking here, triggers me, and I just get upset. And I go for my fresh air once in a while outside, and you know, and I ask them when I'm glad to be here, and it's my first time to a conference, and it's really helping me out. Hi.
Thank you, Masi. Thank you, Masi Cho, for sharing. Kude Sinda, we're going to go to Buffalo River Nation. And, as you know, a lot of elders and young people here are present, but what do you think of the conference you're going to?
I was invited with my friend, and he said, there's men's wellness going on. And so that's 3 days, you should come check it out. And I kind of thought, sure, why not? I'll check it out. And my grandparents went to school also. And when the movie came out, White Horse, they watched that movie on Indian Horse, sorry. They were watching the movie, my grandparents, and I watched some parts there with them. And after the movie was over, they went to the table, had some tea, and they both started having tears. And I asked them, "Are you okay?" And they talked about me, about them going to school. And they said when they watched the movie, it was like it was a flashback, and they had tears in their eyes. And then I went up to them, I I hugged them both, and I said, I'm happy you're still here. And I told them, I love you both. Thank you for raising me the old school way. Hauling wood for the winter all year round, hauling the lake water old school way. I was taught that every day keep yourself busy, keep your mind busy. It's part for most us young men, we tend to overthink, we don't sleep. So just past August too, I've lost my cousin in a quad accident. There's 2 more with him on the quad, and it was a head-on collision. It was a head-on collision with his auntie. So after that, it's pretty much been hard being there for my auntie. And I'm happy that I came here. It's always good to try to teach somebody from right from wrong. And I'm happy I came here. Thank you.
Masi Cho, alrighty. We're going to go over here to the end. He's just raised his hand. What do you think?
You know, I've been sitting here for 2 days. You know, it's great that this conference is almost that. You know, for me, it's a healing conference. It's a wellness conference, so I was so eager to come here and listen. I want to introduce myself. My name is I'm Sigason, Victor Jobin Sigason, South Henosa. I started my healing journey when I was 29 years old. drugs and alcohol took over my life. I, like many of you, my dad went to the residence school. My grandparents used to. And when they came back, it's not all of us, majority of us in here, I bet you 99% of us in here, when my uncles, my aunties, when they all came back, that's all I seen was the violence growing up. The violence, and some people, I don't, yeah, I want to bring this up now because it's not only the violence that I grew up seeing. Don touched based on it. It's the the adultery that I seen growing up, and it was all over. Well, it's not only for South End. I'm pretty sure about that. That the anger that I had to grow up with. I became a violent man growing up. I ended up in a juvenile system. I ended up in a Green Lake group home here when I was young, when I was 13 years old. The anger. Like that gentleman said, I didn't know how to express myself. And every time I got drunk, the violence in me, because that's what I seen growing up. It really scarred me. My dad, I just recently lost him a week ago. He was a quiet, humble man. And somebody touched base on it. Like it's my dad never, said I love you. He never said that to me, but he showed it to me. In his later stages of his life, my children, his grandchildren, showed up that now. I love you, Grandpa, and my dad said, I love you too. You know where, guys, that it stems from the residential school, right? They were taught not to feel, not to show emotions, and to be quiet. I'm glad that at the end of my dad's life, he was healing from that. Now I understand why. Because it really affects you when you're growing up, when you don't hear, your dad, it really affects you. It really, like, I'm sorry for my language, but it really fucks you up. And I'm just honest about that. I begin to understand why now. I understood why my dad was the way he was. He's learned that from residential school. I wanted to touch base on that, and the violence and the drinking, whatever that goes on when I was growing up. People touch base on it too, on suicide. My first attempt of suicide when I was 10 years old. I wanted to show my parents to wake up. I wanted to protect my brother Ronnie. So I went to the warehouse. I know where my dad put his gun and his bullets. I sat down. I just, loaded it up. I pulled the trigger. It didn't, it didn't fire. So my thought process was different after that, and that's, it really, It really messed me up as a young man. I'll tell you guys that. And sometimes I tell my stories, and it heals the person. That's the reason why I share my stories. And when you're growing up, you're so reckless. I was reckless because I didn't care about my life. I've been to a lot of truck accidents, kilo accidents. I've been in the past, man, before I opened the Bible. Before I opened the good book, I used to say, man, I was lucky. It wasn't luck. It happened. And I see the reason why now. I didn't take my life so many times. I have a lot of crazy stories now. Like I said, if I was reckless. I didn't care about myself. I didn't care about anybody. I'd rather hurt you than you hurt me. That was my attitude growing up. Like I was mean. So anyways, now that I've learned how to talk about it, sometimes I get emotional. Sometimes it gets the best of me. But that's just the way it is. That's grief. At 29, I wanted to change my life. That's I almost took my life. I asked, before I already had the rope and I was going to hang myself. I was done. I felt it here. I was so sick of life. I had no hope. God, if you really are there, help me then. I didn't even finish saying, help me. Two little mice ran to the floor and started playing with each other. That's just wrestling. The Lord put my kids on my mind. My kids in their faces. So I went home. I changed my life that time. I was 29. And through the years, we talk about grief. When I was 36 years old, I lost my wife to cancer. So I became a single parent after that. We have 5 children, my late wife. The 3 oldest seen me the way I was, the violent person that I was. And the 2 that he left me with were only 10 years old and 3 years old. We talk about breaking the cycle. That's what I wanted to do for my kids, my 2 young boys. And I see the difference now. Bigger than 22, bigger than 15 now. I see the difference. I see how my 2 youngest are. And I see how they look at me. And the 3 oldest. And I see how they are now. Kitime was drugs. Kitime was milligran. But those of you can break that cycle. Do it for your kids, your grandkids. We've all been scarred, and we all know where it came from. If you love your kids, your grandkids, your future grandkids, it's you. You have to change. And that's the thing about sobriety. It's you. You have to do it. Don't do it for anybody else. That's the key to sobriety. You know, I chose. So many times I hear young people, skip matzo and sigato because I'm 50 years old. They blame, I hear how they talk. Oh, my parents did this, my parents did that, my Muslim did that. That's the blame. They don't take ownership of what they do. It's your hand. Kita not na drug. Kita maminigo not naman. And you put it in there. It's your hand. It's you. You know, it's just that's how I look at life. It's, you know, I have so many stories to share. You know, but at some time, I will share my stories, and I want people to know, and I want to put it in the book and how I did it. Like I said, I'm not perfect. I'm not a perfect father, but at least I try every day. Mahuta ako na pego-pego asin. You know, it's just, it's really hard. But anyways, I got lots of, you know, I want to thank the Lord that He brought me here. You know, that, look at this, you know, Napiok, we're all here. The presenters said, we are here for a reason. We are here to learn, and we are here to listen. And that's the good thing about it. You know, and praying, and whatever you believe in, that will help you every day. Thank the Lord and be grateful that you're here and you're up every day. I just wanted to share that. I wanted to, you know, I met this gentleman. I met another gentleman here somewhere. There's a reason why we're connected. There's a reason why we're here. But anyways, grief is it's a hard one. I honored my dad, and I love him. You know, but I had to let him go. Letting go, accepting, and letting go. That's how I did it, is to accept it. I heard somebody say, you know, one of the, you have to accept that person's never coming home again. That's the key to it. My very first night when I laid to rest my wife, I went home. Everybody went home. The support is always great when you have so many people. But, you know, life goes on. That night, my two young boys were crying for their mom. A 10-year-old and a 3-year-old were in bed. They were crying. That broke me. I sat up all night. And when the sun rose, I had to accept she was gone. She was never coming back again. That's what I mean about grief, about losing somebody. You have to accept it. It's much, it's going to make you sick. It's going to bring you down. And I wasn't going to do that to my boys. So with this thing, with my dad, I just, you know, he's gone. We laid him to rest last weekend, and I've been on a go. You do what you have to do. to get by. And I know I'm not going to feel this way forever. It's a feeling, it's going to pass, but the grief comes and goes. That's just the way it is. Just accept it. Accept the people that are gone, they're not coming back. But anyways, you know, like I said, I have lost a say, and maybe at some time, some other time. But you know, thanks for your listening here. God bless you.
Thank you, Masi Cho. We're going to go over here and we're going to have a Dene speaker and a Cree speaker somewhere. Don't be hiding from me, I'll find you. So we're going to go over to Chester here, and Chester's going to tell us what he thinks of the men's conference. Dene.
Mercy Cho. Mercy Nissan John Nestor. First time John has don't in a side. I say don't see no on it. I could have been as Ahun and it. I could have residential school survivors a little day school on neither. Day school on neither routes in but the school either but I don't know this need a job but alcohol to drugs in young age. Because but told you a contour to drugs gonna start and told her rough with the it's a darning time 3 times a darning time juvie hall correctional penitentiary told him he dollar it's in the time as I can asha contour to drugs gonna start Taco sa darling tahun lina ko aired I could got a contract on a home in there and then shine leo. It's a divorce show you're in either not jaw. It's a good as it as not jaws as cancer as a guy. Your answers about her young lila it's an contour house nearly 12 years doing contour stanley soberness 12 years. I had mercy in this thing. Kole Burinile, you know. Then it's a kuhala storage. I said, doing it's a kusagansi, bestowed you, anything, airport, cancer. I used to see near Hulanant. Don't I? At their conference, sont or it's better than Niland. I had just away since any colleague last week. Lark and Austria. Now started down Meadow Lake. His town has in a gas who told him down as it's in Katana. His town has in her sont or a gas condemning. I also a dinant hunt air denia air posted our truth as in. Big I think who poster. But unsanel ninat a hon sanan it's an astalula larsen. It's in a larsen show the next day we phone numbers and phone is high poster picture is true now. It's the highest THI and a highest THI told you a course in doing 17 times 20 IELTS and 8 as a quiz 8 organizer. To answer that Sarah Karud and Ihana SARS in what is the NSA job has sneezed and like every day not as it's and phone is in doing Johnny using it on a down like mercy benefit. The conference John I mercy then to answer but in either not a husband law. Kusi goes in law. Couldn't hold it in it. I not the daily Banadan is the Rajala. I die yarn on sa. Don't we do sinut on it no hananik but already han son is fanilian ti han chala but here to answer bagana is to answer the involve us nears into answer the communities and share us in the Haristina. To answer that Sarah Atani. But yeah, but the Harali na hati, opening up your heart, going to hatiki. Tesli I am the answer it answer mercy benesan. I teach on. Then you have no share the ye don't truly. Tibet odorun theo to then stories no hakado hatia. Try to compare to yours and but I don't really understand. Mercy.
Masi Cho, Chester Herman, already Cree speakers. I know who spoke yesterday? It was someone over here. Cree, Nihewewen. In Cree. We're going to have a speaker here, Kanamapsa, because we got over here Blue Jays. Let's see. Ni. Right here. Cree? Say something in Cree. Tapui, he said. Let me lick my fingers first. Does it taste good? Good cake? Tapui in Cree.
That's it. Tu tema. Camilos postigas. Ako sa akin kanyo sinya. Tunano sumota ka bito tan taxi minangi bito tan te tagagi tino magaispapi bicho. Kahkyo mi gom miskano ka mutia. Ko ichito tan samme tan sinot kita ma pues motato. Kamyo asig miskano. Kahkyo gipia mi hunano ka pigia. Porque gots na matogan gots. Residential school ka sigata kutamichit tunki. Kipimsona chihona nongiton. Michikia no me nagi moiga ito residential school ma day school me nagi taga iguama gitu ta una no pewan. Pewan gispa mi hona no day school ka gispa mi to residential school. Ki pewan gisik tmai hona no porque ga po mo paking hona no kapik school kapatita kapik school no. Magi kutega ma me kutega ostmachepe hospi hammostigi machepe igoma tmak suno poki we gapi gungu ya kiano gani hiawe. Stum ka tago tido ta papskaisino oktami ostmachepe muni aun stanga tago ti Columbus tago ti oktame stamigi ma opigin yo pigigoma machigi goma go kagi Kawataki ko kiano gani hiawe. So os pia mosti os machepe igwa mui hati os tiksna magawe kisna masu hapo tan sisigis kismoni igwa tumigo matai mutama. Taksi rapitoka tiskipai mutama kiwami to tago tikmaxun minito igwa gam tikmaxun not just materialistically apo monetary. Timak soni gagawin ang stotama. Tapos gusto magsistigon ano ko. Uhot sistigon na magiwe ka kita makiano ko to niya. Timak magiwe osbix na magawan. Nihiyo sistigon na ho. Ang mamustigon na. Magiwe to spichitas pa. Igipiwa na pa yan ni gomste. Iwan kipimay man tutago na tmaskigi. Iwa tumi konista niyan sapas kigo ya pagawa. Gita muy minihuan 15 years. Naga muy programa angita tipe ya pagawa muy minihuan angita gap stegi we no chigo. Kagi pis matsa nyos kayo ani ka kapik. Kaya tigo din kiskin. Kaya tigo din kwatagihon. kiap simonista aniun. Magumatong kapik anto togo guys speak squeeze. Tanso yo is not a research. You got muktan gapati tani konista. It's not more. Guys no, guy moti, nga koskit na ni taisino. O estamos sayang todas simsing ito. Iwa mapirama tas nigan. Maga kinapi kanom miskanom. Iwa muy pakas. Aquí patakos ka no prispe. So pag muy pego te pagpuka ko pikskwata ko muy chiwa. Tuksan tiba ki notito ani gutin fatix kapik speech ko kita gito. So kami mo tu tamas pag iwa kaskyo. Casito Scata, Expogas, Mami Upmostana. Pego estaba en Angono Coat, Pego esta nueva historia, papi, toman antigua. Me dice, to wrestle means, you guys, an actor. That's what the Mohegans. For us to heal and continue a positive journey to get into the positive lifestyle, Columbus must die, Quito. Igual me mantonista man, tas magaw ikwito it. Igito an tani magaw speaks what does he mean? Columbus must die. Igual mamonia op mat son po kaponi kama. Muy kaponi mama muy kapamingo ya. Po kawan ya ni hiao. Kau ni hiao ya. Kau ni hiao ya. Kau ni hiao wasko ya. Yuksipokis kamismo matunano. Yuksito gani ikwito it. For us to continue our good journey, Columbus must die. Columbus o Muniao. Ukstiba interested. Hey.
Masti cho tapue, he said. Tapue egua. Egua door prizes, so get your tickets out, everybody. I hope you all got snacks. Oh, this guy's telling me 5 minutes here. Oh, Ego say, he said. Which one is this? Okay, everybody ready? We've got some door prizes to give away.
Oh, you already won.
You won already?
Yeah.
Tomorrow, come back tomorrow. If you won already, it's thrown out. You got to come back tomorrow for the next draw. Okay, 264 6732. Hola. Let's see. Six, 732. Colin from where? From Pachanak. Calling Lake, he said. English River Dene Nation. One more. 6788. 264. 6788. You? That's you? Okay. That side. This side. Body spray. Oh, yeah. You got her. You got it, Pontiac. Yeah. Blow it in the air there. Spray it in the air. Let's see what it smells like. Thank you. 6706. 6706. He's doing an interview. Okay, well. Put it back in there. Six, 706. No, just kidding. 6736. 6736. Gone home. Okay, we'll put it back in there.
Wait. There's two more.
Okay, we'll mix that one in too. 6839. Right here, the guy with the red cap is the winner. 6839, yep. Where you from? Waterhen Lake, yeah? Calvin Klein? Okay, we've got 1, 2, 3 more. Jesus. 6798. 6798. 6798. That one went back in. Louis Gardapi. Six, 7, 7, 3. 6, 7, 7, 3. Dodi. Dodi. Okay. Way after? This one's way after. 6825. 6825, close, but nothing. You got it? Right there. Which one's a toolkit? Anybody needs a backyard mechanic right here? Native Pride hat. Nezu. Where are you from? Pelican Lake. Pelican. And we got chainsaw. This one? Yeah. 6704. Right there. Six, 704. That is good, they said. He's got the chainsaw sharpening kit. We've got a speaker that is going to come up here. We've got to cut off the live feed, anybody that is listening here. So we will be back online. Anybody that is watching at home,